Okay, good afternoon all. Hope everyone is well. It's good to be back. I had best part of a week off, actually. I just did a couple of evals, I think, on Friday, but I just had some time off. Weather's been nice in the UK, so I've just been, doing a bit of stuff around the house and just relaxing, actually. Haven't really had a proper break since Christmas, and I just felt a bit burned out. I was taking stupid trades. I was blowing accounts. I just seemed to have a great 5 months, and then everything sort of came to a halt. So someone suggested take a break, and I do feel much better, actually. So I've got myself into a good frame of mind. So hopefully we should have a better week now. So Karina, good morning to you. So I did take a couple of trades last night, actually, on this 15 range bar. Actually, kind of nice trades. We had obviously we had that big drop overnight, which we kind of expected. All the stuff that's going on between the US and Iran. Obviously, we kind of expected this thing was going to drop, but then we just kind of slowly wound up. So we had a channel move in there, and we had a triple test 1, 2, 3, and you can see it's slowly rising along that EMA. It's a second entry long and a triple test, so I took that. It was a no-brainer there. And that one there as well, we kind of came down. We had a bearish bar. That one confirmed there. There's a bullish bar and a higher low. And I took that one there. Worked beautifully. Did you reload? I think I did. Let me just do it again, mate. How you doing, Jay? Anyway, so reload. Okay, market is out. So it's same again, not a great deal of volume apart from these couple of pushes up. So at the moment, we're just kind of, we've had a channel up there with a break and a push up to a new high. So at the moment, I've got these two charts, my normal 2000 tick chart, and I've got the range chart as well. What I'm finding here, if that range, the bars in that range that's better, is it? As close as they are to the general ATR, I find you get better, clearer setups. And also as well, I've got the MES chart up here. Should I see any type of penguin setups? I still like those, and let me just take that up one. I'll be trading those on micros in case, because sometimes we do see them. And I like them because it's nice to have a bigger stop, and it just gives you that little bit more breathing space. I did have a look at the chart yesterday. So also what I'm going to do as well, I was chatting with a couple of people over the weekend, and I'm going to start properly studying my chart as well, going through it. Something I've never really done so much. I go through it and, figure out sort of what I sort of did wrong, but I've never sort of studied it as in just gone, spent 10 minutes going through it with a fine tooth comb. A lot of people say it does help because, I'm finding trading tough lately. It has been tough. There's not been a lot of obvious setups. You kind of have to take sort of more advanced setups, and obviously they can, they can sort of take their toll on you as well. And we have had a lot of chop. So it's very easy to get kind of caught in the noise and get chopped up a little bit. So let's just say hello now. So Daryl, how you doing, bud? Tony, how you doing, mate? So I'm just, I keep thinking about trying this and trying that. And in all honesty, I think I just need to keep doing what I'm doing, but just do it better. One of the things I've said a lot is you don't need to take a lot of trades, and I've kind of forgotten that myself. It's very easy to know what you shouldn't do, but actually following your own rules sometimes you're the worse for it. So I want to just focus on what I'm doing, but just do it better. But I can't tell you enough, guys, how much better I feel having a break. If you are struggling, I can't emphasize enough how much a break really clears out the cobwebs and just gives you a little bit of mental clarity. I really enjoyed, I think I had about 4 days off completely. I did a couple of evals on Friday afternoon, But I really enjoyed that time off. Spent a lot of time out in the garden. And I just went out into town, you know, had lunch, had a coffee, and just chilled out a little bit, something I rarely do. I'm quite, well, I say kind of a workaholic. It's a bit hard to describe myself as that when I only work 3 or 4 hours a day, but I kind of always thinking about trading, and I think sometimes you've got to try and break the cycle a bit and have that time away from the charts. It'd be like, you know, coming home from your normal work and just constantly having it in your mind. You know, usually we all, why is that coming up again? We all kind of need a break from work, but because I kind of work for myself, I'm a little bit obsessed with it, and I don't think it does you any favors in the long run. So I'm going to make it a point every 3 months to kind of try and take a week off, you know, somewhere around about that, you know, just maybe, or a long weekend, you know, every other month or something. But I think it's important to get away from the charts for a few days, you know, not including the normal weekends. So it's been an interesting week, isn't it? All this stuff going on over in the Middle East at the moment. Kind of expected that big drop. I thought it'd be a little bit big, actually, a little bit larger. It dropped about 50 points thereabouts. But it's all getting a bit messy there, isn't it, over in the Middle East? I don't know what I think about it all. I don't want to go too much into it. You know, everyone has their own views. Was it the sensible thing to do? Wasn't it? Does it make things worse? Who knows, really? But I'm sure we'll find out in the coming months. So it's hard to know at the moment. Is this a bit of a spike in channel? Because it's we had that kind of big drop down, and then we had 2 legs up, recovered all that relatively quickly as we normally do. Relatively quick, sorry, as we normally do. So at the moment, are we having 2 attempts to push lower and then we're going to push higher? It's not really clear at the moment. There is a failure there, possibly, but I don't know whether this is going to continue down. We have come up to this EMA, but this, I mean, we've had a channel at the break, so this could push up. So at the moment, it's just not super clear. That's half the battle, isn't it? Getting the right direction. If you can get the right direction, it makes trading quite a bit easier. You took the long, did you? Yeah, it's hard to know what's happening at the moment. It's kind of a bit of an unclear range. Yeah, see, that's pushed above there, which is why I stayed out of any. I mean, we never got a setup on this range anyway, but we've had 2 legs up with a break. There was a second entry long there. I looked at that. But, I mean, the trouble is sometimes you can consider that as a bit of noise, really. We could have had something like that. So after we've had 2 legs up, so you don't know whether we're going to come down and test this area again. We did, but not before pushing up. So if we did take something like that, but we didn't really have much here that really interested me anyway. So yeah, at the moment we're just kind of moving up and down randomly, really. There's nothing sort of super clear. We've got some news coming up as well in around about 7 or 8 minutes, so we just got to keep our eyes on that as well. So we've had this move down, a couple of attempts to push up. We do seem to be finding a bit of support here. Or possibly. So we got this kind of move down with a couple of attempts to push higher. I've also started doing about 15 or 20 minutes of affirmations just to kind of mentally prepare. I heard someone describing trading a while ago as almost like a competitive sport where we kind of go out to win, and it actually makes a bit of sense. And I think all competitive sportsmen have some sort of a, they psych themselves up for the day or whatever the event they're doing. So I'm going to try and just do some form of mental preparation for 15 minutes before I trade. Just something to get myself sort of keyed up, for want of a better word. I think sometimes you can come in. I suppose it's like anything. If you want to do something in life, you got to try and psych yourself up a bit, haven't you? I think it certainly helps. I don't want to just, stroll onto the charts and just sit there and crack on. I think it's good to get yourself mentally prepared. It certainly won't do any harm, I don't think. Okay, news is coming up in 5 minutes. Anybody heard anything of Jan? I haven't heard anything for a while. Seems to have, unless he's away on holiday or something, seems to have disappeared. Yeah, actually, we've also got some medium impact news at 3 as well, so. Yeah, I was just looking at that. Thomas Wade's put a possible range along there. I've got the top anyway, so maybe there's something along here. It's possible. Let's have a quick look at the daily, see if what's that showing us. Okay, so that's interesting. So we had this great big move up, then we had kind of a couple of pushes back and a move again, and it does look like we've had 2 pushes down. There's a bearish bar there, which now was triggered, and this thing is pushing up. So I wouldn't be surprised now whether this thing will start to continue up. So we could get quite a bullish day today. As I say, we're not a million miles away from all-time highs. See, it's amazing how quick these things recover. Obviously, this was all to do with the tariffs, and this was kind of early April, early May, early June. So it's taken us a little over 2 months to recover all that, which is a fair old move down, really. It's got to be, what is it? It's got to be 15, 20%. Where was it? So it's 6,300-ish. It's a fair old chunk, that is. It's got to be the best. It's got to be 20% or thereabouts. But that's the good thing about these markets. They recover super quick. So we've got more than 3/4 of that back, I think. So, yeah, it is starting to look like, obviously, we had that gap down, but we've filled it and some. So we could have a really strong, day today. every time I change something on here, revert back to that green and red. That's better. Excuse me a second, sorry. So channel with a break, a little bit of sideways here, so hey Speedy, how you doing, my friend? Okay, news. Doesn't look like it's doing a great deal, to be honest with you. Good on you, mate. Good on you. You got paid, didn't you? No worries, I believe. I did see something somewhere. That's the main thing. You got it. Good on you, mate. Nice, isn't it, when you get paid? I'm not going to win anything this month. It's going to be next month for me. I kind of knew it was going to happen. I've just had a rocky month, to be fair. It's going to happen once in a while, but that's kind of why I took a break. There's no point coming back frustrated because it just prolongs the agony. You just continue to make stupid decisions. So I do feel much better, I got to say. So channel break, new high. Is this thing going to push up and tackle these highs? You'd think so. So we've got a channel new high and a bearish bar here. That bearish bar triggered, pushed up, stopped out and came down bearish. A lower high here back to the EMA wouldn't be a bad thing. The trouble is we're getting very close to a possible range high here, so I don't want to just assume this is as high as it's going to get and then start to pull back, but it's certainly just congested at the moment, so it's not a great deal we can do. There isn't really, mate. It's just a little bit, well, it's not super clear, is it? There's no real direction. I mean, temporarily, I think we're likely to test these, but then are we going to push out? Are we going to have a leg up with the correction, another leg up? I mean, the daily is looking bullish, so it's always a possibility, but one thing I've learned in this business, nothing's sure. You know, 2 legs back, there is a possibility if you were to believe what the daily is so far telling us, we could get another leg up, because it kind of does look like a correction, but there are no guarantees. We need to get above this and then maybe retest it. But it's moving quite easily now. I thought it might go a bit sideways for a bit longer there. So 2 legs up would take us above yesterday's highs. Sorry, Friday's highs. Is that Friday? It must be Friday. And quite likely Thursday's highs as well. I'm assuming that's Thursday, isn't it? Lost me bearings a minute. Okay, so let's see what happens up here. Whether we get some rejection. Let's have a quick look on Bookmap, see what that's showing us. There's a load of liquidity about here. Doesn't necessarily give us much, does it? There's buyers down there, there's sellers. I mean, there's a big amount of sort of shorts up here. So we could hit this and come back. It's hard to say, really. See, the more I look at this, the more I can't see how this helps much. Certainly not for us. A lot of the times when you have this big, thick red line over here and, you know, loads of passive orders, you think, you know, from what I've learned, price moves towards liquidity, but sometimes it just doesn't get there. So it's no kind of indication that we can go long, you know, up to it. So I just don't find it really helps me. I suppose it depends how you trade. So I'm looking to break out of here. It does look like a correction. I'm looking to break out of here and then maybe bounce, recovering the losses. Yeah, it's not easy trading. I've got to say, I had a really good run of 5 months. I couldn't seem to do much wrong, to be honest with you. Now, it's down like 50% the account on Friday. Yeah. I think one thing I'm learning is I kind of had this idea that trading all of a sudden was going to become easy. I think you get better at it and you make better decisions and you make, you know, you do less stupid things because I think you realise that, you know, I had this attitude for a long time that if something didn't gonna go my way, I'd throw money at it and then sooner or later it'd work. And it just doesn't. It's just pure gambling, really. And from a person who's never really been interested in gambling, it has surprised me how easy I've just, you know, found it so easy just to throw money at it. But I am starting to learn it just does not work. You can't get by on luck in this business. The market just doesn't even seem to give you luck. If you wanted to take risks, you would have much better luck at a casino than you would throw money at a trading chart. And I think sometimes you just get to that stage where you just go, I just can't continue to do this because it's just, all it's doing is just prolonging success. But obviously those emotions play a part, but they do very, very slowly get less and less. But it's taken a lot longer than I thought it would. But, you know, I keep telling myself any type of job where you can earn significant amounts of money is never going to be easy. Easy money doesn't exist. You know, you can't pick up a tool, learn to do a job in 2 years and make an absolute ton of money. It doesn't happen. So, you know, it is a journey full of ups and downs. And I had a good run of 5 months. So I'm, you know, telling myself that if I take my time and do things the right way and don't do stupid things, you know, that time will come again. So I kind of knew it was going to happen when it did. I just felt I was taking silly risks when I was getting frustrated. So, you know, you can tell sometimes you feel like a ticking bomb that was kind of going to go bang at some point, and it did. But you've kind of got to move on. But what I will say is I think the more you've been trading, you do recover from these bad days. I mean, look at you know, 2 others that come to mind, Nutty and Alpine. Now, we all know Alpine was crucified 3-4 months ago. It was leading up to when he went on holiday and he lost about 14 accounts. He went on holiday with nothing. He's killing it now. And Nutty as well, a couple of weeks ago, had a really bad spell, lost a ton of accounts. but now his accounts are building up nice, so you make stupid decisions less and less, and your skill level is constantly improving. Your emotional connection with the market is slowly starting to simmer and has less of an effect, but it does take time, and I think you've just got to keep battling, keep reminding yourself, keep trying to make good decisions. But I do think getting yourself mentally focused for the trading session, I was watching a video last week in the evening. This guy says he has like a whole process that he goes through, and this guy's been trading for years, so if experienced traders get themselves mentally prepared, then I really need to be. I agree. I manage like 2 trades a day max. Yeah, 1 to 2 trades a day I think really is enough. Everything I've heard about trading, one of the things I've heard said again and again is less is more. You take less trades, you win more. And you win more, your self-confidence and your belief gets better and stronger. But I think, like any kind of competitive sportsman, you've always got to be on your game. You could be the best trader in the world. It doesn't mean the market's going to roll over and give you an absolute jaffer. It's not. You've still got to work and you've still got to make the right decisions. But it's learning to do that, and the only way you learn to walk straight is, by continuing to keep doing it. But it's okay. I think you learn after a while that, it's not going to happen overnight. Okay, we've got some more news coming up in 5 minutes. It's not going to happen overnight. It does take time, but I think when you accept that but I think it's important just to not let things continue the same way. I think you've got to constantly work. We've all heard the saying, the definition is madness is doing the same thing every day and expecting a different outcome. But I think you guys are a lot like me. You're here every day and you do your stuff. But you are improving. You might not think you are, but you are. You can't sit here, 3, 4, 5 hours, however many hours you do a day and not improve. It's impossible. Just the very nature of doing something more and more makes you better at it. But we tend to think, the thing about trading is all we're looking at is bars going up and down, and just by looking at it, that your natural instinct is it can't be that odd. But we couldn't have been further from the truth. So when I think you kind of realise that and you start to respect the markets and do things the right way, you start to get some success. And it worked really well for me for 5 months. So, but that's the longest spell I've had. Every kind of spell I go through seems to get longer and longer, which tells me, I'm still moving forward. Less is more for me the moment I start over trading. Yeah, absolutely. 1 to 2 trades a day. It depends who you are, really. Depends who you are. And obviously how you trade. But, if you go with what most people say about Pat's 1 to 2 trades a day, I think Mac will talk about 1 to 2. He did say he rarely takes 3. And I think that's probably about right. I think what used to throw me is the amount of trades he used to mark. I still kind of don't understand why he doesn't see that sometimes that can do you more harm than good, because I used to think, why am I not seeing all these trades? They might kind of exist. We can all pick up a chart from a couple of days ago, go through it and see trades everywhere. But, in real time, when you don't know where the market's going, you can't make decisions based on what you think is going to happen. You have to, be relatively confident you know what's going to happen. And in real time, when you can't see this, you don't know, are we going to continue down to the bottom or are we going to push up higher? It's not straightforward. So we have cleared out any possible liquidity. So we need to kind of see what's going to go on now. So are we going to test this and buyers are going to continue to push this higher or what? But we certainly could. It does look like a couple of attempts to go lower. It's not the cleanest of corrections, but you can kind of tell. Okay, 2 minutes. We got some medium impact news. So Existing home sales. I don't believe from memory that does a great deal. He couldn't do it in real time. That's why the chart lessons are useless. You mean your dog can go through the chart? Yeah. Yeah. You know, we can all pick a chart, can't we? Go back. In fact, we got the news. Let's just have a flick back. Let's go back a few days. Yeah, okay. So we got something like this. So, I mean, okay. So let's see some trades. So we got kind of two legs back, and there's a bearish bar there. We can kind of see that, can't we? Two legs up, bearish bar here. So we can tell there's a trade there straight away. So that's pretty straightforward. We have a drop down. We have a little bit of sideways, leg and leg. You could say there's one there. Maybe that's a green bar. It's above the EMA, but we did make two attempts to go higher. So let's bring this down here. So maybe we got something like that. Second entry short there, too far away from the EMA. We have a break, bottom out, and have a new low. So there's two trades there straight away. Yeah, I can't be bothered, to be honest with you. But we know what you mean. We got a channel down there, two attempts to push higher, bearish bar here. You could say there's one there. It's a bit congested, but you may say there's an aggressive trade there. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to spot them, isn't it, really? A little bit of sideways here. I don't know. I even know why I'm going through it. We know what we're talking about, don't we? 1, 2, 3, maybe a triple test. That's one there, maybe a little bit congested, but it is off the top. Maybe let's keep that as a possibility. It did work for a scalp. But yeah, I mean, it's easy to see this stuff after the fact. It's not the easiest chart, that one, to be fair. There's not a great deal, but you know, we don't have the luxury of knowing where price is going until after it's happened. So channel with a break and a new high. Now, I'm guessing we've already had this news. Yeah, we have. It didn't really do much, to be fair. So channel with a break, new high. So I'd like to come down and retest this now. Yeah, I watch his charts. I watch his just to see what he's got to say, but I don't really get any value from it, which is a shame. You know, people have bound to have said. I mean, I've asked him. You know, I think I asked him once. I know you mark a lot of trades, but in reality, we don't take that many. It would be nice if you could just say, okay, there is a dozen I've marked there, but in real time, I took that short and that long. And he said it wouldn't help you. I disagree. It would help me. It's okay saying, well, I've seen a dozen high probability trades. We all know in real time there isn't a dozen high probability trades, because if there was, he'd be mad not to take them. But I don't understand why he does what he does, and I don't want to be nasty to him, because I think he's a really nice guy. But I've got to say I don't get a lot of benefits from it. There are people that probably do, but personally I don't. To check my chart, yeah, there are benefits to watching him, but the one thing I don't agree with is the amount of setups that he marks. It's okay to mark them, but then I think what you've got to do is, okay, we mark those, but in real time, I took that one and I took that one. That would go such a long way to helping people, giving them confidence, because out of all those trades, which ones would I want to know what he would have done, not what he's seen after the fact. But what can you do? He's probably been asked a few times. You know, he could be completely right and we could all be wrong. Who knows? You know, perhaps going for 1 point is the key. Who knows? I know, perhaps he's right, and we're all wrong. I don't know. Who knows? but I mean, just talking about it logically, going for a point, if your maximum risk is never going to be more than 2 points, yeah, I'll go with that. Risk, go for a point. But we all know that's not the case. It doesn't happen that way. For instance, if you decided to take a long there, tick above, tick below, you're not risking 2 points. You're risking 5.25 points. Your signal bar is not going to be larger, and your profit bar is going to be smaller. Every bar's bigger. So if your buying price goes up, you have to make more profits. Well, there you go. What can I say? We've chatted like this before, haven't we? It's never really helped us, has it? So anyway, we had a push up. We had a kind of an attempt at testing this, and we've had 2 new legs up now. So I'd like to see some form of a correction, and then maybe, I don't know, some kind of something like that, a larger channel up. But I'd like to see a correction. In fact, I'm going to stick my neck out here. Last time I did this, it made me look pretty good. I'll be looking at something like that. So whether it will work or not, who knows? So I'm just going to move that for now. It's just in the way. So channel break, new high. So I'm guessing somewhere along those lines. That's what I'm looking for. And then a wider channel up. I can't see that continuing up like that there for long. Brazil. Oh, was it that it was that air balloon? I'm sure that was Brazil. Oh, that was shocking. That was. I don't know if anybody saw that in the news. I'm pretty sure it was Brazil. There was a hot air balloon that went up with a lot of people on it, and it caught fire. Oh, I can't imagine what it must be like having family in there and watching them. Oh my good grief. 8 people. It's so sad, that is. I can't think of anything worse. You either jump and die, or you. I don't want to say it. We all know what the consequences are. But that it's shocking. That is. I went on a hot air balloon once over Africa, over the Masai Mara. But after seeing that, I don't think I want to go again. Trouble is, you've got those big burners up there, which is, firing flames up against something that could burn. And not only that, you've got a giant wicker basket. I don't think there's many things more flammable than a giant wicker basket. I don't know why you don't have some form of a parachute. That's what I prefer. Some sort of an emergency parachute which you've got to strap on, and you've got a bit of a hope then, haven't you? Shocking that was. Awful to watch that. They did seem, and I was watching it when it was on the ground and they were trying to get it in the air. It did seem to struggle to get up. Something kind of just didn't feel right. Now, whether that had anything to do with it, I don't know. I think we're going up to a big measured mood. It's looking like it, isn't it? I wouldn't want it to go up in a single chart like that, in a single channel. I'd like to see some kind of a correction and a wider channel. In less than a month, wow. Do you know of any profitable streamers? It's hard to know who's profitable, to be fair. You never quite know, but I know well, Alpine and Nutty, I don't think they show you their payments. But, there's no reason to believe they wouldn't be getting payments. When I get a payment, I show you guys the emails. So, Little Hammer, how you doing, buddy? But I would say pretty much those. I can't see him lying about them. I like Nutty, he's a nice guy. Didn't show his trades real time. Yeah, I don't know what's going on now. All of a sudden, he seems to be profitable, but he doesn't show you his trades. When he was showing you his trades, he seemed to lose. So I don't know. Who knows, really? I don't want to suggest anything, but you don't know whether he was losing whether anybody is pretending they're trading. It's easy to take a bunch of trades on a sim, and show that, but I don't know. Who knows? Until you see money in someone's bank, you never quite know, really, do you? But I wouldn't expect them to lie about stuff like that. So I'll be looking for a correction here. We have had a break there, and it is pushing up in the, so I'd like to see a drop out now. It looks like we may get one. I certainly think we'll take that stop out there. Whether we'll come down and retest any of this, but that's the kind of thing I was looking for. 2 legs down. There is a second entry long possibly forming, but I mean, there's just no room to the highs, really. I don't like trading in something so tight, especially when it's that far from that EMA. So I won't be surprised if that thing triggers and then we come down, but we are getting a break here by the looks of things, so. Okay, so let's see if we get something here. I mean, my gut feeling is this is probably still likely to go up. Yeah, it didn't trigger anyway. The bar was a bit lame, wasn't it, to be honest with you? But I don't like trading these. I know sometimes Mac will mark these, but I hate trading in I usually kind of wait for a bit of a break like this. I'd like to get down to that EMA, but there's no reason why this wouldn't go higher. That thing concerns me because technically we've already had a break, but I don't know whether you could bring that out there or somewhere and possibly say maybe a spike and channel. It's hard to say, really. Let's see what anybody else has got. Okay, so Thomas Wade has got that. Which doesn't look too bad. It does seem to be working on that EMA, so that might not be bad. See what happens here. We're at that EMA now, so let's see if we get some kind of move up. There is bits of liquidity here, so whether it's quite far below that EMA there, so I can't see it coming down that low. It wouldn't make sense. So all I can really do is wait for a higher low. Now, trouble is, if this has had a break to push you to a new high, there's always a possibility this could come down in a channel. You kind of never know. Yeah, Thomas Wade's got that in a channel, but I don't know. There's just something about it. And not only that, if you bring that back to there, there's a bit of an overshoot. So I wouldn't just want to take this one. It may work. I expected it. I extended that line. I expected it to come down there. We're a little bit sideways there, so it may be something to bounce, but I wouldn't just want to take that. Will it work? It's hard to say. But there's something I don't like about this whole thing. There may be a possible overshoot there, so we could get a bigger correction, or it may just work. It's just not super clear, really. That's a fair size bar as well, so I'd rather wait for a higher low. See, Dan's got this. I'm not sure about that. I think it's too broad at the moment. I don't think it helps you trading here anyway, does it? I mean, it's certainly indicating that we look like we're pushing up, but we kind of already know that. I want a higher low here, but I think it's gone a bit too far. Overnight high, so yeah, overnight highs here. That's a fair old distance down, isn't it? So if we do something like that, it won't get down far enough. Trouble is, when it's like this, it's not kind of super clear. Some days these charts are really easy to read and they just all make sense. Other times, you know, I think we're trying to push up a little bit higher. It looks bullish on the daily, but the trouble is, with the daily, we could end up bullish, but like these bars, sometimes that green bar will push up halfway, come right the way back down, and then push up again. So movements like that on the daily can shoot this thing all over the place. So it doesn't necessarily help you. I certainly wouldn't take that. It's worked for a few points, I think, but I'd like to kind of see two legs. Really. Mind you, my experience is the bigger this chart, the more of a correction. That's not a huge correction, so but there is an overshoot, so who knows what it's going to do. It could completely reverse. It may have two legs and push up. It's not black and white trading, is it? There's so much grey area. There's so much room for interpretation. I think we all kind of more or less see 80% of the same thing, but even as far as what your risk tolerance is, you know, whether you get into a trade or not. I wouldn't want to take that, really. You may argue it's a higher low. I don't think it is, really. We could get two legs down, so a leg down and two smaller legs. It's just not super clear, really. Depends how strong the market is. I mean, you never really know. It may just continue straight up, but we never really know that. Our eyes around 6036. Yeah, it's quite a bit further down, isn't it? Okay, so we have broken above there, so it's not really a higher low, that really. It's kind of a channel with a break and then a... Okay, so that's what I mean. You never know it's going to do that. You took the higher low. My concern is coming down for that second leg. You just never quite know. You took the second entry long, did you? If we'd have had a bit more of a drop. And also it depends. If I'd have been on evaluation, I'd have jumped all over that. But I think when you know, with PAs really, I think you've got to be very selective. It's a little bit sideways, so you just never know. We didn't get up. We pushed up and struggled, and then we came straight back to the MA. So you just don't know, you know, whether we're going to kind of do this. You know, in the overall, we end up kind of doing something like this. So 2 bigger legs back, you know, sometimes these individual legs are broken into 2 smaller ones. So you never know it's going to do that. But that's just my thoughts. We all kind of see things different. If you know, if some of you guys take them all day long and do well at them, then it's an okay trade. But we have got kind of all different risk tolerance at the moment. Mine's pretty, you know, pretty strong. It's not always like that, but yeah, because of the possible overshoots. I mean, we're working in some form there, but it's not the clearest, is it? So when it's not super clear, it's hard to know, really. Dan's not even got that as a channel, I don't think. Well, he didn't. It's not super clear, is it? So let's see if there's anything larger there. If we bring that down to there. Yeah, see, I just don't like that. I mean, you could argue there's some kind of a 2-tiered channel, but whenever I've posted these, Dan doesn't like them. He doesn't work that way, so I don't quite know. So we've got Friday's highs here, and what day are we? We are Monday, aren't we? So what was this? What day was that? That was the 19th, Thursday. Oh, we had a holiday, of course we did, yeah. I was going to say it looked a bit out of place, that. So there's Thursday. There's Friday. So Friday's high, and that would be Wednesday's high, yeah, and obviously Tuesday and Monday. So the daily's looking bullish. I haven't seen anyone take a trade. Tell a lie, Marco took the higher low, actually. Oh, tell a lie. Oh, he did. Marco took the higher low. See, I've got that as an overshoot. It might not be. It's hard to say. The trouble is, you know, I got caught out on a trade once and Max said we got an overshoot, and I got to tell you, it was smaller than that. So do you think it's an overshoot? So let's be cautious just in case we get a bigger correction. Or do you trust it's not an overshoot and jump in? You know, how safe do you need to be? How strict do you need to be? You know, every kind of thing I read, people say you've got to be super strict. Did Dan take it? I don't think he did. Oh, so Dan did take the higher low. Yeah, see, I've got that as a possible overshoot. So I don't know. It's hard to say, isn't it, really? And not only that, what can you do? It's not black and white, is it? Some people take trades, I don't. Some people don't take trades, I do. Staying out. Yeah, I mean, we're taught that if you get an overshoot, hold back. So, you know, I've got this kind of like that. In fact, I probably had it a bit more like that, didn't I? I think it was somewhere. It's touching those bottoms there, isn't it? We're touching there. It's not super clear. So ordinarily you'd have that maybe like that. So you know, it could be an overshoot. It's always a possibility. And I was always taught from Mac, if you get an overshoot, always avoid that next long trade just in case we get a correction. And it's certainly feasible. You know, we could have got this. It didn't get up very far before it pulled back. It's always feasible. So if I'd have taken a long there, it would have triggered me and come down. And I posted that. I guarantee people would say, or Dan or Mac would say, there's an overshoot there, so you've got to give that space. So it's just one of those things, isn't it? But on the same day, same content, you mark the same trade with the same issues when it works. Yeah. The trouble is, every trade he marks works. And in reality, life doesn't work that way. Because it does make you feel like any setup, regardless of what, is going to work. So it doesn't help. Yeah, I know. What do you do? Gaslight with it 25 years. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the trouble is when you are so experienced, I suppose, it's very easy to assume things and to see things. You know, I think sometimes you forget what it was like, and you forget. When you've been doing something so long, you kind of have blinkers on, don't you? It's kind of very hard to interpret certain things to someone who hasn't had nowhere near the amount of experience you've had. And you do forget sometimes when you're learning something how difficult it was. And I'm pretty sure after 25 years, I mean, he was trading 25 years when I started nearly 4 years ago. So, yeah, I get more value from Thomas Wade's. I always watch Thomas Wade's. I get more value. I've got to say as well, I've started. I didn't realise he did this, but where's the chart video? So I get a lot of value from these as well. What Dan does, chart videos. I think he does. Does he do one a week? Yeah, I think he does about one a week, something like that. But he is the closest trader I've seen to Mac, with the exception he goes for 6 ticks. But he talks what he's seeing and what he's taking, and I think that's what I would prefer to Mac, because when you're learning from someone, I think it's beneficial to try and get inside their head and see how they're working out what they're seeing, rather than just see a chart with a load of and go, there's a high, a low there. You know, you want to kind of listen to the workings when, you know, he's looking at something, what he's thinking. You get way more value, and you do that from Dan. He does what we kind of want Mac to do. So those I like, and yeah, Thomas Wade as well. I can't, you know, I can't find a fault with Thomas Wade. I know, you know, he takes losses and some and that sort of thing. There are some setups he takes that I necessarily wouldn't, but as a guy and as a trader, I love what he's got to say, and I love how kind of honest he is. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He'll show you, he'll take losses, and he'll even say, I don't think that's a bad trade at the time, and it'll trigger and lose. So I think it's important when you're teaching someone to get it over to people that it's okay to take a loss. You never ever see Mac about losses, how many losses he's taken. You'll never see him mark a trade that turned out to be a loss, and I think it's unrealistic, and it gives people the wrong impression. I don't like moaning about Matt, because as a bloke, you know, I think he's nice, but I think, you know, I've come to the conclusion, the methods, there's too much missing, I think. You know, I've been trading a while now. I'm not a complete beginner. I've been trading 4.5 years now, so I know enough now to know what is beneficial from, you know, from a trader, and what doesn't really help me. As a complete beginner, I think it's more important to get the correct guidance, and I think there are gaps that make it a little bit more difficult for you to learn, I think. Thomas Wayne and everybody else who actually trades live, I just hang around here for that, just to listen to my bullshit. But yeah, I get ready to leave the house. Yeah. Yeah. What's going on here? We got a little channel with a break. Are we making some kind of a... It's certainly a possibility that we're getting something like this. It doesn't look terrible there. Trouble is, we've actually broke this channel and made 2 pushes to a new high. So I think, as tempting as that is, I think I'm better off waiting for the higher low. It is a channel with a break and a new low. You could say it's down to confidence, isn't it? Is this right? I think it's a little bit too early. This channel's had a break, 2 pushes to a new high. So I think you probably need to give this a little bit of time to look like it's continuing. The lessons were because of concept. Yeah, I mean, the system I think is great. We know the guy that's teaching us is charging us very little money, but I think it's okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with saying, I think he's a lovely guy, I love the system, but I don't, yeah, the way he teaches it, I don't think it's super beneficial. It's okay to have your opinion. You know, I know in the past I've said something and someone goes, oh, you're always running down Mac. I'm not running him down. I just wish he'd do some things in a different way. It's okay to have an opinion about somebody. You know, I've got friends that I might not agree politically, but they're still a good friend of mine. You know, so it's okay to voice your opinion. You know, if you've been trading for 2 weeks, then maybe not. But, you know, most of you guys have been trading the same sort of time as me. So it's okay to have an opinion. So that bar there has triggered. I think it's still just a little bit early to go in here. It does look like it may be moving into a separate channel. It's okay, but as we've had this break, 2 pushes to a new high, I think we need to give it a little bit of time here. And if you took that trade, you'd be concerned now, wouldn't you? So I'll be amazed if it doesn't break below there. So that's why it's okay to draw those, but I think, you know, there is a time in the past that I'd have gone, oh, there's a channel, let's go long here, but now I'm a little bit wise to this. I mean, we got a little micro with a break and a new low, and you could say, and I've heard Max say stuff, there we go, it 3 touches there, it's confirmed the channel, fits at the top. It's not always that straightforward, unfortunately. I just think the lessons are actually hidden. Yeah, I think we know how it works now. So we can pick little bits from him and get something for it because we understand how trading works now. But as a newbie, I always felt super inferior. I always thought I'm really struggling to pick it up. Why am I not seeing a dozen high probability trades a day? You know what I mean? And it for me, I think it knocked me confidence a little bit. But then when I kind of, you know, understood how it all works, I realise I'm not necessarily the problem. But yeah, when you've been trading a while, you kind of do understand how the world in trading works a little bit. Oh, he hasn't, has he? Oh, he did. It's all right. I thought someone had taken that trade there. But I think as someone who does bar by bar, I think I would say Thomas Wade's, I think, is the one you would probably benefit from most of all. Yeah, Thomas Wade never took anything here. He put it as a second entry long, but he said, I didn't really feel at the time. Yeah, because of the overshoot. And he's got that as an overshoot. So I think normally as an overshoot, you naturally don't take that next long. The fact that it worked, you know, for me, it's pushed up and then it started to struggle a bit. So you just don't know where this is going to flush down. Yeah, I certainly, it's something, I've never done what I would call study my charts. I go through them because I always thought you know where you missed and you know where you shouldn't have taken them. But I think it is important to go through them, even just for 10 minutes and go, okay, this is what I saw, this is what I missed, this worked. And I think it may reinforce certain entries that you didn't take that perhaps maybe you could have done. PT. Who am I thinking of? Who's PT? Oh, Penguin. Oh, don't get me wrong. I think that guy is borderline a genius. I've got a chart up here for trading Penguin style. Hence, it's on micros, and I've got that set to 2 micros. Oh, I absolutely. If we'd have got 2 trades there, I'd have. There was a trade. When was it? Was it yesterday or a couple of days ago? Which was a classic. One of his. I forget where it was now. I was looking at it the other day, thinking that is an absolute beauty. We had a leg up, a nice correction, and a perfect leg up. I forget where it was now. I don't think it was that. But yeah, absolutely. Leg down, 2 attempts to push higher. That might not be a bad option for something like that. You know, we tend to get a move down, 2 attempts. Sometimes you wait for it to push below the EMA and get in there. Other times you'll take it there, put his stop higher up. But yeah, I've got the MES chart up there. If I see an E, I'll absolutely take him. In fact, I actually find taking his setups a lot more relaxing because there's a bigger stop and things slow down a little bit. I find trading Pat's style quite stressful, to be honest with you. So, channel break, 2 pushes to a new high. There may be something pushing down. It's hard to say. That's the real skill here, I think, especially lately, is getting the direction right, because it's so easy to get caught up in the chop and you misread the direction and you get in, and market has a way of punishing you for it. Learning when to stay out, absolutely. It's not just not taking trades; it's knowing the trades to let go, because you almost always lose more than you make. And the trouble is, then you kind of play. I know it's not the right way to look at it, but you naturally can't help that you're playing catch up. You know, I have no problem with leaving a trade now, because the one thing you can guarantee about leaving a trade is your account size stays the same. You don't lose a penny. So I think it's much better to let a trade go if you're not sure about it. And I think the more you trade, you get that instinctive feeling just by looking at what you're seeing, because you've looked at that so much. And when the picture looks like it did when you lost last time and the time before, something doesn't feel right. And it's using that feeling, and you do. It's experience, isn't it? It's that gut feeling that I've been here before and I don't like it. So I think I better stay out. So 1, 2, 3, possible triple test. There may be a larger channel. I think it's safe to say we've had a channel there with a break, 2 pushes to an eye. So that has played out. Now, obviously I was thinking 2 legs up. Doesn't mean we'll get up here. It's still 2 legs. Sometimes it pushes higher. Sometimes we don't get near it. There's always a possibility we could have 2 legs and a push up. At the moment, it's just kind of a no trade zone, really. It's not super clear. So it's a little bit unclear about whether we're going to push higher or whether maybe this is a reversal. That's why a review needs to be with naked chart, bar by bar, to explain new trades. And where to stay at. He doesn't talk much about that, Mac, does he? I'd love him to say, no, there was a second entry long here, but because of this, that may catch you out. You've got to delve into the whys. You can't do, there was a second entry, I take that, there was this, I take that. You've got to delve into the, part of this is examining the price, and there's a thought process that goes on when you're looking at price. That's what you want to hear. What's the thought process? Because when you start to understand how someone, that's, I have a process. Now, you guys may think I'm talking just because of you. I talk out aloud anyway. That's how I process. I can hear things clearer if I talk them out aloud. It's just kind of the weird way I work. But that's what you want to hear, somebody's thought process when price is happening. What are you thinking? You know, are you saying, well, I think we got a break there, so I'm not looking for a short? But we don't really get that with Mac, which is unfortunate. But you need that thought process, especially when you're learning from somebody. So we got on the range bar, we got a little channel with a break and 2 pushes to a new low. So the trouble is, if I went long here, I'd be assuming price were going to continue up when we've had a break. 2 pushes to a new high. It's played out. So I think I need to give this a little bit of space. You have to explain, if you're teaching someone, you can't just say there was a trade there, there was a trade there. You've got to explain why. You know, you can't, as a teacher, you can't just say you can't do this and you can't do that. You have to, people need to understand, when you're learning something, you need to understand why it's not safe to do something, or why you should do it or why you shouldn't do it. Yeah, he does. I mean, a lot of times he'll say, you know, it's been a really strong trend, I'll buy here and buy here. But the trouble is, you don't know it's been a strong trend until it's kind of already happened, because you never quite know how far it's going to go. You know, I could see a trade like that and say, yeah, if you bought there, you bought there, you bought there, because it's a strong trend. But at the time when it's happening slowly, you don't know it's a strong trend. The only way you know it's a strong trend is at the end of the day. So if we are going to continue up to this measured leg and continue up a little bit, we need to sort of get some sort of indication. At the moment, it's not really. Volatile days a few weeks ago on his video is the most volatile day in my trading history. He was marking shorts at, yeah. The trouble is, we understand now what's missing because we've been trading long enough now to understand it. What, you know, when people have been trading a while, they kind of have a good understanding of how it works, especially when you've been caught out as many times as we have. It's a great learning tool, losing trades. You know, when you lose them, we don't like to lose them, but it's a really valuable lesson, because that picture there that you're invested in, wherever it may be, you know, you got money in there, you're emotionally connected to that trade. And if it goes wrong, that picture stays in your brain. And when you get to this kind of picture again, something is telling you, I don't like how this feels. And I swear by that feeling. When I've got that feeling, something doesn't feel right, maybe 7 or 8 times out of 10, I'm right. And even an absolute appalling trade can work. It's a shame, really. I've messaged him about it and said I'd love to know what your opinions are when you're thinking, and you know, it kind of falls on deaf ears. So I can't have been the only one to mention it, but you can't explain why something is happening when you have no idea how a bar formed 2000 transaction. Yeah, it's, you know, it is hard to teach somebody something, isn't it? Like trading. You know, it's not like if I'm teaching you to lay a brick, I can, you know, you can visually see it. There's a brick, you butter up the end, I put it down and I tap here and I tap there. You can show someone how to do it and they can pretty much do it. It might not be as tidy, but with trading, you kind of have to do it yourself with some guidance. And I think the guidance that Matt gives really, I think is a little bit flawed. I don't mean that in a nasty way. It's just my humble opinion. I don't know. Perhaps it's me. Perhaps I'm the flawed one. Who knows? Mac didn't market. Yeah, trading is such a grey area, isn't it? Where, you know, trading doesn't fit into a perfect mould. There's so many different variations of what can happen. I mean, so far today, we're generally bullish, but that can change at any time. Now, what I will say is we've obviously had this channel with a possible overshoot. You know, whether that's an overshoot or not, it's irrelevant. We've had a break. We've had 2 pushes, 2 nights. So technically it's played out. Now, price could continue up or it could start to reverse. And until we maybe, you know, get below, you know, because we know price a lot of the time will clear liquidity before it pushes up. So once this localized liquidity is cleared up and it pushes up and then starts to move down again, then we can it's probably safe to say, okay, maybe we have got a downtrend, because this could just be ranging, you know, with the intention to push back up. Thanks, Kenny. I appreciate that, mate. It was nice to have a break, actually. It taught me that I don't take enough time off trading, really. I get a little bit obsessed when I'm trying to learn something. Which I think is more detrimental. I don't know how many times in the past I've come back to the charts the next day absolutely fuming and bubbling, and I just do something stupid. I've always been one to try and rush something. I always, if I want to learn something, I always end up, you know, I buy the t-shirt, I buy the tools, I always jump in, which is good in one sense, but it can wear you out. So I need to slow things down and remember to breathe. Took off since Wednesday and took the kids camping. Yeah, it's good to get out, isn't it? It really refreshes your mind. It gets you away from that mundane part of your life that just the daily grind. And if you're having a tough time, which we all have occasionally, those days just seem to go on forever, don't they? Yeah, I haven't camped for a long time, actually. We're an army family, so we always went away in one of those great big thick weigh-a-ton canvas tents that the military have. I tell you what I watch as well. Yeah, I think he's just stopped. Is it the Outdoor Boys YouTube channel? He's just packed it in, I think. I like watching him. I know he made a video a couple of weeks and said he was stopping. You come back, Morris. Yeah. If you got kids with you, you're probably going to. Do you know, I've come to the conclusion the most expensive thing about having kids is not the kids, it's the amount of beer you got to drink to keep yourself sane. So at the moment, this looks to me like it's kind of correcting somehow. Holiday from holiday. Yeah, it's always the same sometimes, but I think just getting the charts out your head, just for a few days even, I think is beneficial. If you're frustrated or you've got any type of little bit of frustration niggling away in there, I think the best answer is that we've all heard trading when you feel like that is the worst thing you can do, but kind of never listen. I certainly don't anyway. Yeah, that's the good thing, isn't it? Yeah, you can start breakfast, can't you, and then crack open a canopy. That's another thing I've been doing too much of, is drinking as well. And not only that, I've been having a few here or there when I've been trading, which is probably not sensible. Yeah, it's hard to know what's going on here, whether this is going to come down or push up. Tough one, tough one. Everyone, I've been trading max price action about a year. I have learned a lot, but always felt that this strategy can be refined and improved. You're not wrong. So I start learning about the markets. Yeah, I think anything you learn about trading is always going to help you, or what price does. I even think looking at other traders, and, you know, sometimes I'll just flick through YouTube and look at someone else's strategy and just how they work it out. And I think any type of experience like that is always going to be beneficial. I wouldn't suggest going from one strategy and then if it doesn't work in 12 months, moving to another one. You know, I think all strategies work, but they do take time, as you say, to refine. And it's the strategy is the easy bit, learning what to do. You know, you can teach someone in 2 minutes what a second entry is, but applying it at the right time to the correct context, that's the real time and skill that takes a long time to sort of get good at. And that's the trouble with trading. It does look very easy, but this is by far the toughest thing I've ever had to learn by a long stretch. And I've been around the block a bit. So we could be finding some support here. We've cleared out any possible liquidity there. Now this thing may push up. But until it does, there's not really a great deal we can do. We've had a channel with a break, 2 pushes to a new low. So that channel's played out. That channel's played out. Makes you see parts. Oh, it absolutely, it finds all your faults as a person, doesn't it? It exposes you, doesn't it? It really does. It gets inside you with a knife, doesn't it? And starts giving it that. Yeah, it does. It really tests you as a person. It does. And I think it's good character building in a way. It doesn't feel like it, but I think you do toughen up. It's like anything, you know, they say if you've had a couple of failed relationships, you know, we've all heard about so-and-so who's been toughened up and they get into a new relationship and they hold you at arm's length, that and the other. I think when you go through something which is an emotional grind, it definitely does test you, doesn't it? So we've had a channel here with a break, 2 pushes to a new low. I'm not quite ready to go long yet, just in case I'm missing something. There is always that possibility we could be doing something like that. So this may go up or it may come down. I'm really not sure at the moment. Price is holding under that EMA, so I'd like a push up and then maybe a couple of attempts to go lower with something strong looking. BOF from the big range. BOF, what's that, mate? Remind me. That's Mac. A win rate of 93%. There's those losses. Yeah, never showed a loss. No. I think if you're teaching someone, I think it's imperative that you show them you get losses, because it's one of the hardest things to cope with as a trader, accepting losses. I know I've had a nightmare with it, and you know, I know I'm not on my own. I've really found it hard at times. If I'm in a good frame of mind and I believe it to be a good setup, I don't mind losing those because I feel I get some value out of it. But when I find sometimes my patient goes, those are the losses I really struggle to deal with. But they do frustrate you. But, you know, they are part of it. And I think it's important to show people that. And as a mentor, I think you've got to show. That's why I like Thomas Wade. He's got no fear whatsoever to show you a loss. And I think that's a strength. Small doji away from the EMA, a strong trend that lost. Yeah. I think it's important to show that all traders lose from time to time. Now, Max scalps a tiny bit a point. Now, I wouldn't doubt for a second he hasn't got a 95% plus win rate. I think when you've been trading for that long, price action is super accurate, but we've not all been trading 25 years. And, you know, Mac teaches people to trade. So, you know, just by that very nature, you've got experienced people doing this for the first time, and you have to drum it into them that, you know, losses are a part. I don't think I've ever heard Mac talk about losses. Certainly not in that context. I think it's important. You've got to tell people that losses are inevitable. So you have to, you know, you have to sort of get used to them and accept them. I never hear Mac talk about losses. just realised that actually he never talks about losses in the correct context that they are part of it, and you've got to accept it. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. I'll just be a minute. Okay, so out of 11 trades, he should still have one loss. Yeah. I'd love to know his stats. I really would. This is too much that he avoids and doesn't. Now, I don't mean that in a nasty way. Look, one of my best friends, or my best friend, absolute lovely guy, but his politics and his beliefs are flipping weird. And he knows I know that, but it doesn't mean he's not my best friend. So, you know, as a guy, as a nice, genuine guy, I think Mac's lovely. I think a small amount he charges for people, I think is great. That tells me he's not out to make money out of you. You know, he's quite happy to help. That doesn't mean his teaching skills are great, but it doesn't mean I don't respect him as a guy and think he's an absolute lovely guy. So it's, you know, it's okay to disagree with, you know, if I'd have been trading 2 weeks and saying that, I'd have been arrogant. But I've been around long enough now to be able to, you know, have a fair opinion. See what I mean? So once that pushed out and cleared any liquidity here or here, I'd expect that to push up. So my guess is this is now, unless it's ranging a little bit, it pushes up. I think now I'm starting to focus on thinking about shorts now. Now, what I might do is bring that down to there. Let me just clear this up a minute. This thing's having a proper drop now. I mean, it may, I don't know, who knows. Yeah, I'm not sure at the moment. The trouble is, I mean, you may argue that's a second entry short there. And it worked and worked quite quickly. But at the time, we don't know whether we're finding some support to push up. His reviews might explain what trade to take next. But then pause, stumbling. Yeah. You have to really, I think, to teach someone, you've got to, you know, you can't just tell a child that they shouldn't do that. You've got to tell them why. You know, don't put your hand in the fire. Okay, why? Because you're going to get burns. You know, you have to, when you're teaching someone, you can't just say what not to do. You know, you've got to understand the workings. You know, if you do something maths or whatever, it's no point having a calculator and knowing how to do the, you've got to know the workings. It helps you understand it better. Yeah, when you learn something, you've got to understand why something doesn't work or why you shouldn't do something. You'll have a better understanding. You'll do a much better job. Best to wait for a higher low. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I much prefer. I feel much safer in trades when you get a higher low. But the trouble is, sometimes you kind of miss the best trades. But I don't know. Lately, I've lost a certain amount of confidence in second entries. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just, got into a habit of a little bit of frustration is probably getting my trades. No, there isn't. But, it's like anything, isn't it? If you become a doctor's a job that requires experience, seeing patient after patient after patient, but you still need guidance. You still need more of a senior doctor to say the reason you don't do this. You don't just tell someone don't do it. You need to explain to them why so they understand. But, it's I think with trading, it's more guidance, isn't it? But ultimately, it's one of these jobs that you need hands-on experience really to fully kind of, to fully grasp him. Yeah, exactly. He changes the rules. Yeah, second leg sometimes. I know. There was a trade I looked at last week. Forget where it was now. I was just sat downstairs and I took a photo of it and posted it and asked why it didn't work. Let me see if I can find it. And I've seen Mac mark these as well. Let me have a look. I think it were close. Here we are. Okay, that was the trade there. So a few people said, well, it's congested. Yeah, it was. At the time, we had that bearish bar. So we got two clear legs up. So we got a leg up with a correction and another leg up. Bearish bar triggered above these what's-its and then pushed down. And look, touch, couple of touches there. Perfect touch, perfect touch. Fits lovely at the bottom. Two clear legs up, and someone said it's not two legs up, and I went, well, of course it is, it's clear. Mac marks, I've seen Mac mark those a dozen times. You can clearly see there's two legs. We got a leg with a break, two pushes to a new high. As soon as we hit that line there, bearish bar, triggered, pushed up, stopped out, and kept going down. I didn't think that was a bad setup. But someone said, oh, it's not two legs up. Well, it clearly is. But I suppose it just, someone said, well, there's a bunch of bars together. Well, at the time, we pushed up there. There was a couple of bars, but when we triggered above them and dropped, I didn't think it was a bad trade. And I've seen Mac mark trades like that a dozen times. So I was surprised. I didn't think it was, you can clear, someone said there's not two legs. Well, there is. That second leg didn't go as high because, in my opinion, if you look there, we got 1, 2 touches, a bunch of touches there, perfect touch there, perfect touch there, and you could see it pushed above here and ejected, and it closed below that EMA. Now, sometimes in the past I've waited to the lower high, but sometimes you don't get a lower high, and Mac will mark that as a trade. So Well, it is a bit congested, but I look back on some of Mac's trades and I've seen him mark the same thing. So the fact that it triggered above there and then dropped, I didn't think it was a bad trade, but I don't know. What do you do? Someone said, you're picking a high. Well, I'm not. I'm picking the top. So here's another one. Here's another one. What do you guys think about these trades? Would you take those? Would you take any of those trades just out of interest? Answer me that. Would you take those trades? I'd be taking that trade basically. So we got one leg up. I'd be taking that trade. Would you guys take either of those trades? Well, in fact, I said to one guy, so this was a picture of my chart from a couple of months ago. Those trades I took. Now, would you take those? Second. Okay, a guy went, well, no, I wouldn't, because that one, it's only one leg up. And then when I explained to him, it's not my chart, it's Mac's. This was a snippet I took from Mac's trades. He marked both of them. So, you know, he was taking a trade based off the top of the trend channel, which is the trade I marked. So someone went, he said, no, I wouldn't have taken him because he's not two legs up. You don't know whether it's going to reverse from there. So then I informed him that this actually was Mac's chart. Yeah, it wasn't my chart in the end. I just wanted to sort of make a point that let's see if someone thought it was mine. Yeah, he doesn't kind of draw me. I do some moaning. It does sound like I'm moaning a lot about Matt lately, doesn't it? But I am and I'm not. I'm not moaning about the guy. I'm moaning about the process. Yeah, exactly. After the fact. So, is this an actual channel down here? It's tough to say. You could say that we've had a break, new low. You could say we've had a break and a new low there. Or it may be part of the channel. It's not super clear. Touch there. You could say we touch there with a wick. We touch there. Bottoms don't look too bad. So second entry short here, I don't think would be a bad option. Create your own style. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said. I think I kind of have in a way. I take some Pat's trade and I take a few Penguin trades as well. So, you know, I even considered going for a couple of micros and just taking what trades I deem to be, you know, worthwhile. Sometimes when we're in a trend and it comes back to the EMA, it doesn't give you a setup, but 9 times out of 10 it continues up. So there may be an option to drop a trade in somewhere in the middle. You know, trade it off the EMA, have a bit of a stop, bigger take profit, and just maybe go for a lot smaller risk-wise and, you know, try that. But I think, Karina, you started with Pats, didn't you? And I think you kind of trade your own way of doing things now. So we got a little channel working here. So, I mean, we could have had a break, 2 pushes to a new low. There could be kind of 2 legs. It's good to have him in place, but our frustrations. Yeah, absolutely, Daryl. I think he's a really nice guy. And I think what little he charges people to trade. But it's okay to, you know, to have varied opinions about something. As I mentioned earlier, not everyone's politics align, but it doesn't mean that you don't think they're a nice guy or you can be a good friend. I know a friend of my wife's is very, very strong politics. And it's so easy to wind her up, but she's a lovely woman. I take micros, just like you said, sometimes first entries, bigger drops. Yeah. How many times, let's just take this range thing. How many times do we kind of know there's a good chance this is going to go up? Maybe drop an order in at the key entry point, not necessarily wait for the bar, you know, a little bit more of a stop and just go for a bigger move. There's so many times we've said we know where it's going, but we can't enter. But as you gain more experience, a lot of traders do that. They'll wait for a pullback and they'll just put an entry in. They won't necessarily. We wait for an actual move. The trouble is, if we were going to short that, if we thought this was the trend line and we just dropped an order in, say, here, you could be out here for 4 points, whereas we wait for the bar to move and it's already gone so far before we get in. And I know Penguin does that a lot now. If he sees, you know, the 2 moves down, a lot of times he'll get in here. He won't necessarily wait for the move. You know, you can have a bigger, as long as you're pretty certain you know where it's going. You know, so there's so many different ways. There's so many ways to adjust things. But I don't think it's a bad idea using a micro or two. If you think something's going where you're certain it is, or pretty certain, just because there's no necessarily signal bar. We don't have a signal bar there, and look out, it just took off. We had nothing here. We pushed down, it crossed straight over, maybe picking off a line, and all of a sudden up we went, no entry. You know, absolutely, it's still a key entry, but a lot of traders trade that way. They'll put an order in down here. If price comes down, they won't necessarily wait for a signal bar. You know, how many times do we see passive orders on Bookmap up here? If they think there's a significant area up here where price is likely to hit, they put a short order here, put a stop up here, and try and get a big move. I love Mac's soapbox. I wonder how long it'll be. He does keep talking about retiring at some point, doesn't he? No, but I think as a guy, I think he's a nice, genuine guy. But yeah, I don't think it'll be long. I can't see it being much more than a year or two. 4th of July coming up, big sale for America's birthday. 4th of July, that's coming up soon, isn't it? In fact, it's just over a week away, isn't it? Week and a half away. Big holiday for you US guys, that, isn't it? 4th of July. Yeah, it's a week on Friday. In fact, I might do something. I consider myself half American now anyway. I'm probably more aware of your holidays than I am our own in the UK at the moment. If you read Mac's manual, he actually states placing limits at EMA as a preferred entry model. He then later goes to say that most traders have difficulty doing that. Yeah, I certainly do. I don't know if I've got the patience for that, but yeah. In fact, I'll show you. I've got its manual here. I've had that for about 4 years now, and I got it ring binded. In fact, this is probably more valuable reading this than I think watching his videos, really, because he does explain a little bit more about this. Now, I've read this about 3 times, I think, but not for maybe a year and a half. But I had to. It was actually thick with dust. I changed my desk around a few months ago, and I wiped the dust off it. But I am going to go through it again. But that probably is more beneficial than the watching his analysis. I think watching his videos analysis, put it in print. Yeah, I think I paid £5 for it to have it ring binded. I certainly think it's good to go back to basics, and as I say, he explains the inner workings of it a little bit more there, doesn't he? And I think probably you're going to get more benefit from that. So what are we doing here? So there is still the possibility we could go higher here. I wouldn't say this was necessarily a reversal because we haven't really got down that far. So it's hard to say at the moment exactly what I think's going on. It's kind of that area, isn't it? Shoot, excuse me a sec. Excuse me, just 2 minutes. There's someone at my front door, I think. Sorry about that. Okay, let's have a little look. See, there is a possibility that this thing has already had a break and kind of 2 pushes to a new low. I'm not super... scalp strategy, 2 page 84. I'll have a look. I'm going to have a read of that tonight, actually. I might go to bed a bit earlier with a cup of tea and have a read. Oh, that's a thought. Just been keeping an eye on the cricket. Sort of taking a short here. Yeah, it's hard to say, really. You could say there's a channel we've had a break and a new low, but there's obviously a place for that as well. So if that is a valid channel, then there's a good chance this could come down. But I'm not super sure, because if you look at the range chart, that tells a slightly different picture. We've had 2 legs down and a strong push up about that EMA. So just not sure at the moment. That's half the battle, isn't it? Getting the direction right. So there is kind of 2 legs down there. And we are above that EMA. So it's hard to say, really. If we can get a push below that EMA and then maybe a lower high, that might be okay. There is a long triggered there, so this may come down, but it's not super clear. It's a bit stacked up. I'm really trying to have this little saying in the back of my head that says no setup, no trade. Whether it takes me a day, an hour, 3 days. Now, there is going to be, I dare say, some liquidity above here, so yeah, it's just a bit unclear now, is it? I was shot, not a shot. That sounds like a better idea. Sean, how you doing, bud? I didn't see you there, mate. How you doing, lad? Yeah, in all honesty, if that channel is valid, I think there's a good chance we come down, but it's hard to know. We could push up. You know, you may argue this may be the start of a kind of a bull flag and it may push higher. It's not super clear, to be honest with you. You're in long, are you? Wish you luck. Fingers crossed. Another thing I've heard a lot lately, don't be frightened when you see a pullback or a red bar the natural instinct as a newer trader, once it starts to go green, you feel great. As soon as it starts to come down, that feeling changes. So sometimes it will come down a bit before it goes higher. I think the order of the day is if you see a trade, take it and commit. And whether it wins or lose, learn from it. If this doesn't work now, you may go, okay, it was a bit congested, perhaps I should have let it go. And that's the best way to learn that is you learn way more by your losses than you do your successes, because your losses, then the next time you see a picture like that, something in the brain will go, oh, I've been here before and I didn't like that. And you'll let it go. And when I do that and the trade would have triggered me and stopped me out, it's a nice feeling that. It's a, you know, it tells you you're paying attention and you're learning. It's hard to know here. We've got some support here. Now, if this is a channel, I'd say it's going to try and attack this support and it may fail and come back down. But who knows? I mean, so far, this has been generally a bullish day. So there's always a possibility we get something like that before it pushes up higher. So, you know, you can argue, there's so much grey area. You can argue that's a channel, there's our first break. Or you could say, we've gone off that kind of second swing. Maybe we've already had a break, in which case it could go up. So I think it's okay to leave your chart like this and say, I think it's that, but I think you've got to appreciate the fact that you may be wrong. So, which is why I'm just sitting tight at the moment. What I will say is there is a bullish bar there that's triggered. So if this thing is going to go higher, sometimes it will drop down and clear these before it pushes up. That's if it's going to continue up, or it may be this channel down and we've got a break, a little bit of sideways and then followed by a drop. So, but as soon as it starts to go sideways, the chance of winning a trade that you're in, I think, starts to diminish a little bit. But playing the micro measured move, yeah. Yeah, if this is coming down, there's going to be liquidity there. And once it gets below there, I think there's probably more traders going to be thinking about short. And once it eats through, stops like that, that will give it that little bit more momentum. But it may not. Sometimes it'll come down here and then push up. I think if it's going to continue higher, that EMA may protect you. But I'm just not so sure at the moment. Whenever it's chopping sideways like that, positions are way more weaker. If that body was sat on top of that line with a wick down here, I'd say you may have half a chance, but my gut feeling is that's likely to go. Yeah, shame. But you do learn from them. Next time you get into a trade, next time you see that again, and you will, because you've been invested in that, you'll have that in your brain. And once you've seen a bunch of pictures like that that have gone against you, that'll just, you know, when you see this again, something will go, I've been here before, and it'll give you an odd, uncomfortable feeling, and you know you really want to trust that feeling. Now, a little bit of a range here. We could get a breakout that may fail, and it may push higher. It all depends whether that is more like that, whereas we've already break, or it is more like that. Price is still above the EMA on the 10,000 tick chart. Yeah. What do I think is going to happen? It's hard to say at the moment. We have taken any liquidity out there, so I suppose my gut feeling is it's more likely to come down, just based on what I'm seeing now. Push up, struggled, clearly a bit of support here, and that doesn't look too bad to me. It fits in there relatively okay. You may argue that that doesn't, but on someone else's chart, that could be a full red bar, in which case we've got 3 clear touches. The bottoms look okay, so. See, I'd want a failure here. I'd like a bullish bar to trigger, and then a failure trapping traders who may think they're going to go long. Probably expect a nice discount as well for the 4th of July. Am I going to the pool? It's not as warm today. It's dropped, actually. We've had around 29, 30 degrees centigrade last week. In fact, I got my air conditioning unit on a couple of days ago. I don't know if it make a difference. So it's cooled down a bit today. It's dropped about 10 degrees, so it's a bit cool for the pool today. But I did some sunbathing the other day, I got to say. I got like one of those blow-up Lilos. Micro-long fails, yeah. I got one of those little blow-up Lilos and had a lay on one of those for an hour or so per day. It's also got a little floating platform there where you can put your drink. The end is coming. Okay, so we got a leg down, a little bit of a pullback, didn't really go anywhere. My gut feeling is probably going to work its way down. Yeah, it is looking like it, isn't it? Unfortunately, we had nothing there. There was nothing there, really. Not much you can do there when it's going sideways. So I think it's fair to say that that's a channel. I mean, that's played out. We've had a break of it and 2 pushes up, so there's no reason why it can't do this. It just depends on where it goes when it, or when and if it breaks below these. I think it's fair to say it will do, whether we get a pullback first. I mean, we got a bounce there, 2 legs up. So there's always that possibility there is something larger. Or it could be a great big push up with a bear flag, with a bull flag. It kind of looks very bull flaggy, doesn't it? So we may get 2 legs down and this thing may rocket up to this level up here. So it's possible, isn't it? I mean, you can consider that as one big move up, really, isn't it? In the way of 2 legs. We'll get 2 legs back in a bull flag and then up we go. Frustrating. Never know if the market will accept the tighter channel. Yeah, it's just something that just gets easier with time. Yeah, I think the simple answer is if you're not sure, just stay out of it. There's so much of the day I don't know really what's going on, whether we're coming down or whether we're just correcting. And it's just waiting for those moments of clarity and then jump in. The trouble is, what I find sometimes when you get those moments of clarity, you get a really good trade jump in front of you. You're kind of in disbelief, and by the time you've done something about it, it's already moved. So that's another problem. I don't know how many good trades I've let go by because something I'm thinking this looks a bit too good to be true, and before you know it, woof, up it's gone. So you've kind of got to be pretty quick at times. But there's not a lot I can see up here. I think a few people took that, not that many. But after that possible overshoot, sometimes we can have a decent correction. Or sometimes it can all out reverse. So I kind of always avoid that, just in case. I don't know how many trades I've taken like that have come back down for a second leg. So apart from that, there's not a great deal I can see. There's nothing I would have taken here, really. There is a second entry short there, but at the time, you know, with that, obviously that steady move up, you got to give it a little bit of time. It's always that possibility it may continue up. So I tend to avoid any shorts until I kind of figure out, are we now continuing up? Because it's just not super clear. So we got a channel down there. You may argue there's a small break there. I don't think it matters too much anyway. So I'm just going to remove that just for the time being. It was just a possibility. It could be two legs and this may go up, but we have made a new low from this, so that's played out. So it's just giving this a bit of space, seeing what's going to happen. Okay, well, this is figuring it out. I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break. To the top. Okay, I'm just going to pop that there. I'm just going to make myself a quick cup of tea. I don't know what's going on here at the moment. I want to give this chance to break and make a new low and then see if we find any kind of support. I mean, there may be a bounce off the overnight highs, but it's just hard to say at the moment. So I'm just going to give this a few minutes. So I'm just going to take a quick 5 minutes, make a cup of tea, and I'll be back with you. That's not a lot. Hmm. Yeah, okay, so that channel looks valid. I think we've had that push up with a break. And then the drop. We've made a new low already, so we've got overnight highs here, so you could argue there we've had a little bounce. See what happens again. I'll just like this channel to play out as well. We could get a bounce and a move higher. Why is that on a sim? That's weird.
Order submitted. Order cancelled.
So there is a second entry short there, but it's a bit congested that. I'm not sure whether it's going to bounce and push up. If I was going to take something there, I wouldn't take it that low into the range anyway. Okay, so let's see it break below there. Okay, so that channel is now played out. 2 pushes up. I didn't want to take that. It's right at the lows here. You just don't know. It's come so far down from there, so you don't know it's going to do that. Right, look at that. It's a measured leg there, and we've bounced. So let's see what happens now. We got overnight highs here, so let's see if we push back above the overnight highs. So channel break, 2 pushes to a new low. Hmm. Yeah, it's hard to know here. We have had 2 legs down and measured move there, so possibly something like that. We've had a perfect measured leg there. That technically on the range bar is a higher low. What can you do though? It's definitely been risky taking that, even if it, finished on its high. It just seems to be struggling to get up. In your punk. Qatar have closed their airspace, have they? Be interesting to see what Iran do next. I mean, it wouldn't be wise to take on the US, put it that way. Militarily, they're worlds apart. To be slow, yeah. I hate it when it does this. Can't seem to make its mind up. Up, down. There is going to be liquidity below there and there, you'd think. As you've had that measured move down, there's bound to be some liquidity there. I wonder if it'll push down and clear that. Escape from World War III. Yeah, but you go to Australia, you got to worry about sharks, spiders and snakes. I'd rather take my chances. There is kind of a failure there, but we're not really trapping anything. It's always better to trap someone. Really, that gives you that momentum, but we're not really. No, Now there is a higher low there on this chart, but there's just something about this I'm a little bit unsure about. We want a second entry short failure here. Pretty much you can do it, really. Could go up, could go down. I mean, we have had that measured leg and we are struggling to go down, so maybe that's the cue to go higher. But the trouble is, while it's doing this, it's not really what you can do. Not trading people will be wise to just sit on your hands for now. Area of development, yeah. While it's doing this, it's hard to know. Looking on this range bar, or this range chart, I won't be surprised if it does break below there. But there is technically a second entry short there, which is triggered. So who knows when it's like this. It's clearly just congested at the moment. We did push up to the EMA. We couldn't get above. We had a big bearish bar. So I don't know. This is looking kind of like it wants to continue a bit lower. Certainly below this. Who knows? I mean, that pushes up to the EMA and literally crossed over and came straight down, ended up on its low. So, you don't have a channel in place where, yeah, there may be something large there. Who knows? It's hard to tell at the moment. You know, we've had a fair size move up. It could be kind of two pushes about, so then it may rocket up, but who knows? It may come up so far and then pick up a trend channel. I'll be surprised if it doesn't break below there. I mean, that's quite a bearish, that's some selling there, really. I'll be surprised if it doesn't break below there. Yeah, okay, so that's cleared that out now. So let's see where things go. Okay, I think I'm going to knock it on the head there, folks. So I've had a couple of trades early today, so I'm not on a bad run today. So those two I took there, move up, triple test, and a second entry long, and that one as well. Really like the way it's sitting in that little two-tiered channel there. Second entry short, and that worked pretty quick. Nuclear winter is coming. I'm glad we got you here cheering us all up. So I'm going to leave you guys to it anyway. So I'm up nice today. So that's not a bad start for me. So I've kind of, you too, bud. So I'm kind of happy not to take a trade now. I was kind of just happy just to relax today and just let it do its stuff. So best of luck to you. I'll be back tomorrow. Remember, it's a week Friday. It's the 4th of July. So that's holiday in the books for a week Friday. So have a great day. Have a good evening. Stay safe and we'll catch up tomorrow. Bye for now. Bye-bye.